Land destruction? Check. Do I even need to go through the rest of the list of the cool things this deck has, or like, are you already just sold? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we're going to be playing some mono green Lumra Living Wish lands. This is an archetype we've been working with on the channel off and on for a couple months now. It's a lot of fun. Edison sent me a tier 3 donation deck list to kind of get this tuned up again, and came in with a lot of really good ideas. And I have implemented a few of my own changes on top of those. So thinking back to the previous league, one of the problems was that our deck had too many turn 1 ETB tapped green lands with an entire playset of Tranquil Thicket. So I have cut a couple of those for a few more forests and additional copies of Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. This is going to help out giving us additional green mana, which sometimes might just be kind of our secondary mana that we're going to need to cast some of the stuff that's up here. Now, Edison, in their analysis of the last version that I played, said, hey, I think we're soft to Chalice, and I don't think we have enough selection. So I have done a couple of things to help with that. I have added in a couple copies of Mulch as additional winding ways to get us the lands that we need, and we can keep dumping the lands into play repeatedly with our explorations and our burgeonings, a card that does not see much legacy play but is pretty sweet. Edison also suggested Ancient Stirrings as another really good way to get some selection here. So you get to look at the top 5 and reveal a colorless card, and your lands are colorless, and put it into hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And I think that is a perfectly reasonable avenue to explore here, but I think the problem is that a bunch of the stuff that we in theory want to find off selection spells aren't necessarily always going to be lands, and we're almost always going to hit a land if we look at 5, but the 2 mana cards aren't going to be a concern to Chalice, which is something that Edison was concerned about, and can give us multiple cards at the same time, which might matter on some of these exploration type cards. The Winding Way and Mulch go 4 deep instead of 5, but can give you multiple cards. I think that tilts it in favor of the 2 mana stuff if you are concerned with Chalice of the Void being a real Magic card. I'm not concerned personally about Chalice of the Void right now within the context of Legacy. It's kind of a rarely played card. Like, you're going to see it from time to time, but it's not like, oh shit, I need to play around Chalice of the Void right now or anything. There's way more Vexing Bauble in the format than Chalice of the Void. And the next thing Edison wanted us to do was tighten up the Living Wish sideboard. They kind of felt like there were too many just like beaters and do-nothing cards in there. So we've tightened it up a lot. We are down to 9 cards. We are sticking with some of the powerful haymakers that we might search out for Blue-Black Reanimator or Mystic Forge combo, for example. And then we are going to keep a tutor, and we're going to keep 1 end game, like Windmill Slam this and win. Otherwise, we have specific cards for specific matchups. You know, if we're playing against a Merit Lage, this might be important. Against the creature decks, if we can keep destroying their lands repeatedly, Tabernacle becomes a win condition. And we kind of can nuke the entire graveyard or specific cards as is needed. And because the donor is concerned with Chalice of the Void, we are going to keep a way to answer Chalice of the Void or, you know, Ensnaring Bridge, whatever it is that we need to answer. Now, the final thing that they were concerned with is, like, what do we do against fast mana combo? And I believe that the answer is lose. I don't think our deck is going to be good enough versus a lot of the very fast combo decks. Last time around, I tried Thorn of Amethyst. This time around, I'm going to try Null Rod. I am recording this immediately after Eternal Weekend, where Mystic Forge had three spots in the top 8, based on the early stuff that I am seeing here. And I am going to expect a lot of Mystic Forge in the next week or so as people try out the lists from Eternal Weekend. So in terms of hedging against combo right now, I think I am hedging specifically against artifact-based combo. And Vexing Bauble on turn 1, Null Rod on turn 2 is, I think, a reasonable way to have 8 heavy Haymakers for that deck. And one other way that I can hedge against combo is in post-sideboard games. If I know that, say, Burgeoning or Drop of Honey is not particularly important, I can go up to a full playset of Urza's Saga and maybe board in a generic card or two, or maybe an Urza's Saga Silver Bullet. And hopefully that allows us more access to cards like Grafdigger's Cage than we normally might have. Yeah, so this archetype has been a blast every single time that we have played it. If you are in the market to do this in paper, and you need 4 Tabernacles all at the same time, TOAMagic.com might have them all in stock. Promo code ThrabenU, save you 5% on your Tabernacle, which would still be a lot of dollars. But the rest of this deck is probably pretty cheap, so consider picking up the pieces. With that being said, let's battle. Okay. I don't have a second real mana source here. I don't think I get to keep this one. Like, this is absolute fire with any other mana producing land. I don't think I risk this one. I think I am going to end up with a lot of very similar 6-card hands. Yeah, this is fine. What am I living wishing for here on potentially 5 mana? Might just be living wishing on turn 2 for an Urza Saga, honestly. I think I'm going to throw the Boseiju back in deck to use later. Play some good old basic forests, eh? And then pass the turn. Now, sometimes I can Living Wish or some sort of card with reasonable counterplay based on what my opponent does here. Tundra, you gonna Prismatic Ending me? You're gonna Ponder. That's a beautiful Ponder. So we want this to be a control deck and not a, like, Cephalid Breakfast deck. I think we can... That's weird. I think we can beat a control deck here, whereas I'm not really sure if we beat Cephalid Breakfast. I'm going to cast another one of these now, even though this one would be dazable. I think I get a Sowing Myco spawn. Sometimes I desperately want to wasteland my opponent next turn. Decision's quite tough. And, like, we just assume that we eventually find a life from the Loam to replay the Urza Saga if I don't immediately make constructs off of it. Windswept Heath. Sure. This sure looking like it might be Nadu. My opponent is waiting to pay costs on something in a weird way. Guessing that's a green sun, then? It is. Sure. Burgeoning. Unexciting as a draw here. I think I am going to go ahead and attack my opponent's mana here. Tabernacle is interesting. Okay, well, I guess I let this resolve. Then take out Tundra. Yeah. I don't care if my opponent removes Sowing Myco Spawn. This is not a real win condition. That art. Rabbit. So if my opponent just plays more creatures, I think I just Living Wish for a Tabernacle. But yeah, that's fine. So 2 mana Living Wish, 1 mana Bauble, 1 mana Burgeoning. So this is mana right now. Get Vexing Bauble, Living Wish, yes, Tabernacle, play Tabernacle, play Vexing Bauble. This taps for mana currently. I think I just cycle one of these. I can play another land drop if I hit something good. I did not. And now we just need one of our 2 mana mid-range cards to ruin our opponent's day. So I probably could have sculpted things better here. In retrospect, the Urza Saga was not great. But if my opponent is playing control, then it's absolutely amazing. And we were hedging against the timeline where we won more. I think we have ended up in an okay position overall. And I do have the Vexing Bauble redraw. Oh, Urza Saga is great. I still think I take this redraw, though. I said I still think I take this redraw, though. I think at this point I play the Urza Saga and then use the colorless. Though I guess everything produces green. Maze of Ith, sure. More Burgeoning. So we kind of keep these mana dorks locked down. No more land. Oh, buddy. Obviously that's real good for me. Yeah, no, you can brainstorm. You know, it just feels right. You know, in this world of fire design, where we just slowly bleed our opponent to death as their creatures struggle to stay alive because of this funny looking church. It just feels good, you know? Just good, honest magic. Burgeoning triggers. They're not going to do anything. I don't have any cards in hand. You have nomads. Now, at some point, I am going to start, like, ghost quartering lands, and it's going to be fun for me. Be lazy and make this now. Now, notably, this will cost me 1 mana in my upkeep for my own Tabernacle, but, like, whatever. Backup Tabernacle doesn't do anything as of right now. Get this last Vexing Bauble. I guess I don't cycle this one, because it is currently growing 2 of my creatures. And it'll be a few attack steps, but hopefully this just gets there. Everybody's still around. Arrakis, sure. Not going to put it into play. I am fine paying for my creatures, obviously. Basic Forest's kind of whatever. We are swordsing. That's fine. You can take 2. Alright, so I think at this point I no longer view this token as a win condition, so I think I cycle Vexing Bauble, trying to hit some land destruction. Oops, all Tabernacles. So the fear here is that my opponent does something like Dryad Arbor to pay for this, Plains to pay for Delighted Halfling, makes a new land drop, and then can play a Nadu. But if my opponent is just doing fair Nadu stuff, like, and does not have an actual combo, it is unclear whether or not that will be good enough to beat the stuff that I end up doing over here. It might be, but it might not be. So my opponent made legendary spell uncounterable mana during their upkeep and did not keep their creatures. I can't explain what just happened there. I think opponent just kind of got in their own head, started thinking about casting a Nadu that they had in hand and like how they were going to do that, and I think they just fucked up. Oh man, Drop of Honey the next turn would have been sweet. I don't really know that I'm sideboarding. I could board in more Urza Sagas. It seems like Tabernacle is kind of my plan. I think I want to be able to Living Wish for 1. I could Grafdigger's Cage for Green Sun over 1 Vexing Bauble. That seems reasonable. In which case I could play 1 more Urza Saga to tutor for it. That seems reasonable. Oh, we got a tabby. I'm in. Hand's not perfect, but I think given what I just saw in terms of the impact of Tabernacle on my opponent's ability to play Magic, I think I'm just okay just like turn 1 Tabernacle pass if my opponent plays a Mana Dork. And then we just like eventually play Magic ourselves. Nomads, yeah. That's not bad either, but tabby. Now, Tabernacle, this game is not currently tapping for mana, so like there is some tension here between like getting green mana, getting mana production, activating Urza's Saga. You know, there is some real tension here. This could attack me, and it just didn't. I'm going to get green mana going. Opponent pays. I think I need to have Grafdigger's Cage in play. Oh, that's a rough land drop. I think I need to have Grafdigger's Cage in play before my opponent can Green Sun for Nadu. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, and this has missed 2 points of damage. I think I want Cage and Burgeoning. I think we go Burgeoning. Okay, my opponent does not have counterspells. Good to know. Anyway, I think we Burgeoning first as bait. Opponent can't Nadu this turn. So Tabernacle is really fucking good in this matchup, but I'm also not really sure how experienced my opponent is here. It feels like they should have had a little more counterplay than what they did have. Or like maybe you mulligan this, and as they played it did not have access to blue mana. Maybe they have a bunch of cantrips stuck in their hand. I think I should have had to work harder here. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists, and they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. I'm in. Hell yeah. Don't kill me on turn 1. That's illegal. Okay, not dead on turn 1. Wasteland, fucks. That was a roller coaster of emotion that lasted like 1 second. I think I am going to go ahead and play Exploration. It is possible I get Force of Will there and I get punished for that, but over time, the Exploration allows me to do things like Wasteland my opponent while still resolving Living Wish, which I think is meaningful. Cameo is a lot less scary if my opponent can't crack the clues. I also just have Caracas. I imagine that it's more important to just Wasteland immediately, and so I'm going to do so. My opponent brainstorms specifically to flip the Tameo. It's very awkward if I make this decision here. I think I'm still making this decision, but just, like, let the record show that I have thought of it. Oh, we're just fucking done. Cool. Is this a weird-ass oops variant? What's the deal here? Well, I did a search of the cards listed here, and got 0 results on MTG Top 8, so we might be in brew territory? I don't know that I need Null Rod. I think I am hitting the submit button until I have more information. This is fine. 17, Cameo immediately. Living Wish for Caracas checks that in a minute. Drop of Honey maybe checks it. I think I'm just going to make my opponent pay for their Tameo this turn. Not sure about this decision. I don't entirely know what my opponent is doing yet. Like, I don't know if we are on ninjas. I don't know if this is like some oops all spells vibes still. Okay. Okay. You can name Wasteland there. I have Ghost Quarter this time. You can have your clue. Boseiju is neat as well. I think I'm just taking out Urza Saga immediately. This will show me whether or not my opponent has basics, which is important information. No basics. So Life from the Loam is going to absolutely fuck my opponent up. Ancient Tomb. So now my opponent can start cracking clues. Potentially flip Tameo. So I think I like Yavimaya and Boseiju Ancient Tomb. That way this can't end up turning into the Planeswalker. It's much harder for me to answer that if it turns into a Planeswalker. We already know that my opponent does not have basic lands. And then I can just start Field of Ruining, follow up land drops, and eventually kill Tameo with Tabernacle. Good, honest magic. Is it an untapped land for this? Yeah, it is. Nice. You can make your clue again, then pass. I will Field of Ruin, destroy Ancient Tomb. Yeah, no, draw your card. That's fine. You can get your basic land too. Oh, wait. Then we'll play Drop of Honey. And if Drop of Honey ends up getting destroyed because my opponent turns Tameo into a Planeswalker, like, whatever, then I will just start going offense mode instead. Alright, Tameo is gone. That gets rid of Drop of Honey, and we are cantripping instead. And I think we are in no hurry to win this one. Hunter does not shuffle. Opponent gets more land. But opponent needs a lot more land. I don't think Living Wish is currently crazy good or anything. I'm going to Ghost Quarter a land, Life from the Loam, Ghost Quarter, Field of Ruin, Ghost Quarter, like so. Force of Negation. Pitching a Tameo. Sure. Already made my land drop, that's fine. That's a shame, I was going to destroy so many lands. So the large number of these lands is meant to support probably Force of Negation and Force of Will. But how are you winning? That I don't understand yet. So, like, we've seen Ancient Tomb at this point, so not literally oops all spells. I haven't seen anything like Emery for artifact recursion. I haven't seen that many artifacts. Can Living Wish for Boseiju? And just keep going at my opponent's lands for now? That's potentially fine. It's not super exciting. I kind of think I'm into it. Like, I can win later if my opponent can't win now. And I don't know what I am trying to stop. Okay, sure. Draw a Life from the Loam and Exploration. Okay. So I'm going to lay out some other stuff here. Or is there like Tron lands, like the One Ring? Yeah, okay. So this is just like alternative one ring combo, and I just successfully kept them from getting off the ground for a long time. Sure. I'm unsure how relevant this is, but my opponent should have a bunch of counterspells, so I assume that it's fine. Okay, yep. Got it. So then there's presumably some like voltaic key type stuff going on. So I know now that Living Wish should probably be going for Collector Oof to stop the one ring draws. That was not really apparent previously. Yes. So we'll make a friend. I will be paying a tax from my own Tabernacle here. It's not really a big deal. So we'll make another friend. We'll search up a Vexing Bauble. My opponent didn't really want the previous one in play. I'll assume that this one is fine and good. Oh, Kozilek's command? Yeah, Kozilek's command. X equals 1. Opponent just really trying to save their life total in the short term here. Do I cycle Vexing Bubble? Yeah, I think so. Exploration, not a great draw. I'll put it into play. I don't think it's really relevant. Although, boy, do we go wild if I resolve a life from the Loam. Sure. So my opponent's primary problem here is that they need to kill me from 20 life through triple Maze of Ith Tabernacle. If my opponent has some sort of like Laboratory Maniac, Thassa's Oracle type kill, they can probably do that. If they are trying to kill me with Fair Creatures and Urza Saga Construct tokens, I don't really know that that's going to happen. Yeah, outside of Urza Saga, I haven't seen a win condition yet. I mean, unless we count, like, this, which I don't. Sure. Joke's on you, now I don't have to pay 1. Wasteland is fine. If I draw a life from the Loam and we end up Bosejuing this Pithing Needle, I obliterate so much mana production all at the same time. Let's see what they can do. They don't have a lot of time left. Presumably they will find another one ring and reset the counters on that at some point. And they have 11 cards in hand and the ability to make a respectable amount of mana. So if we're forced to a game 3, I do just have 4 fucking Null Rods. Karn, sure. So Karn could get a Lattice and lock me out, but that doesn't solve this problem. Grindstone. Okay. So over 2 turns, are you just going to Painter Grindstone me? Just both are in the sideboard for Karn? Sure. That's fine. Yeah, my opponent's deck is super vulnerable to Null Rod. I'll cast spells, but I imagine that this is the end for me. You end up just short here. My opponent sacks that. That gets rid of my Drop of Honey. Again, that's not really relevant if my opponent is about to Painter combo kill me. So there is Karn, Tormod's Crypt. Sure. So there's not just immediate Painter, unless it is in main deck. Okay, it is in main deck. Okay, now we know. So now I can adjust. So these Collector Oofs are coming in. Probably want to be able to wish for these 2 cards. Drop of Honey out? Seems like that doesn't matter that much. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to do something like just board an extra Tabernacle in to help with Tamiyo specifically. Not really sure if I do. I could board in Caracas. Like, at some point it is maybe worth considering bringing some of this stuff in over something like Burgeoning. This is the perfect hand. Vexing Bauble into double Null Rod. Unfortunately, I produce 0 mana here. We will mulligan. This produces no green mana. I don't think I'm down with this. Let's go to 5. 5-card hand has Null Rod on turn 2. This is great. I don't need to keep a win condition. I think I can get rid of the second forest. So we'll just go Forest Pass. Now my opponent can have 8 counterspells to potentially counter my Null Rod, so I may not play it immediately. My opponent leads on something like Ancient Tomb. I almost certainly will. If they just lead on a tapped land, I could just Ghost Quarter it. Yes. Dodged the bullet again. So, do I Ghost Quarter? If I Ghost Quarter, sometimes I don't play my very good 2-drops. I think I'm going to try to jam Null Rod. It does not work. Counterspell, pitching a counterspell. Ooh, that is 4 mana. So my opponent has an immediate Karn, and we'll see how scary that is. Something like Liquid Metal Coating would be quite scary. Whereas I'm not super concerned if my opponent just grabs a random artifact. They're grabbing the One Ring. And now I'm kind of left in a similar position to previously, where if I Ghost Quarter my opponent, I am making a very good play, but I might not be able to follow it up properly. I think I am okay rolling the dice on that. And dropping Maze of Ith. F. Yep. I probably lose the game from here. I don't think I beat Planeswalker plus the One Ring. Getting Grindstone, probably not a good sign for me. I think upon missing my land drop here, I am comfortable conceding. I think I just get buried by this. GG's. I think I win this match easily if I know what deck my opponent is on and sideboard appropriately for game 2. Alright. Opening hand is pretty reasonable here. We would love every hand to have an exploration because the exploration hands just pop off really hard. But that doesn't always get to happen. Sure. I don't think I use Living Wish this turn. I think I'd like a little more information before I do that. But I think we're going to Winding Way. I think I'm going to do it off Yavimaya. A little awkward to give my opponent green mana if they are Nadu. Bell Pierce. Sure. But if they are Nadu, I have a Tabernacle that helps me out a lot. And if I deploy that with Yavimaya in play, it actually taps for mana in a meaningful way. Oh. Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, we're fine with this. Take your time indeed. This is going to be a long match. Let's cycle that. Life from Loam is very cool. We get an achievement if we make our opponent crack their own standstill. Yeah, Wasteland's fine. I think I hold my Wasteland in case they're doing something like Urza's Saga. Play a Tabernacle. Sure. Tapped Mystic Sanctuary. You've got it. I got like 37 lands in this shit. Do your thing. Sure. Yeah. Timeless Dragon. You've got it. So this Eternalize ability is not a cast. So they can get this into play. My Maze of Ith will help check that. But with a Vexing Bauble in play, I could just consider casting spells. I don't think my opponent's on Urza's Saga anymore. I think I am going to Wasteland them and to take out a Tundra. I think I just pass here. And I think on my turn, I am likely to crack Standstill? Oh, are you just like not gonna fucking Wasteland my Maze of Ith? Okay, yeah, there we go. So I'll take 4. Burgeoning's cool. So Life from the Loam, target Yavimaya, Wasteland, Maze of Ith. 1 and 2 Standstill triggers. Now my opponent could draw a Force of Negation specifically, and then cast that using mana. And that would get around Vexing Bauble. Sure. Alright, fantastic. My stuff's in play. Let's play a Burgeoning. That's fine. I wasn't going to play a land that produced mana anyway. It's not like there is a real cost there. An opponent maybe has a Surveil land? No. Oh, they've got red as well. Sure. Tabernacle tax? Sure. I would like to take out my opponent's red mana so that something like 4th Aerlingas doesn't just overwhelm me instantly. Because that's a concern. Land drop? Yeah, that's fine. I am not interested in dredging. Yes. Now? Nah. Yeah. Maybe, though. Nah. I'm just not in any hurry here. My opponent can't really win through my stuff right now. And I think just slowly making land drops favors me. No dredge. That might not be land destruction. I think I'm okay starting this game now. Like, there is a very good chance that my opponent ends up boarding out standstills against me. Oh, that's fine. That's not attacking the Maze of Ith. Nope. That is a reasonable spell. I just don't really feel the need to start yet. Yeah. Just lots of draw go. More Maze of Ith is great. You know, I was hoping to finish this league before bedtime. Unsure if that's happening, given this matchup. We can start chipping away at opposing lands, I guess. So I think I might break the standstill if I can get to a situation where I think I can resolve an exploration type card. Otherwise, I don't really know that it makes sense. Underground Sea. Sure. Let's just always yield to this. Sure. I don't know why that Underground Sea is there. So let's get rid of it. Turn it into a Plains. I have more cards in deck. Aha! I get the cards. I will just draw with all of those. And yeah, you can brainstorm. I think I'm just going to blow up some of your lands. Because otherwise I'm just discarding. You got a basics yet? I imagine not. Alright, that one's basic land type. Sure. So 3, 6, 7. Now I'm not discarding. I'll keep the other one in case my opponent plays a standstill. Cool. You have increased your Tabernacle tax. Ah, now we're out. Nice. More Snapcaster Mage. You got it. You may brainstorm again. You gotta love it when your opponent goes, okay, the thing that my deck is designed to do is not viable. I can't do it. I have to give up. You love it. And then I start like resolving cards like Drop of Honey and Life from the Loam, and shit gets wild. And then like super later on this game, we start looking at Lumra. My opponent has a 4th mana floating. I think they overtapped. And at the point where you have moved past other things, you can't undo that. Sure. So Maze U, take 2. Teferi's fine. That's fine. Boseiju is a land sometimes. No dredge. I would like to draw exploration type cards quite badly. So we start here. Yeah, that's fine. That was expected. Now we're gonna Life from the Loam, go like Wasteland, Ghost Quarter. Actually, no. Well, it's Life from the Loam. I don't have 2 Ghost Quarters. So Ghost Quarter, Wasteland, Urza's Saga. Alright, we are hitting Moto lag. Life from the Loam, Ghost Quarter, Wasteland, Urza's Saga. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see another counterspell here. Oh, no. Okay, it did work. Let's see if Drop of Honey now resolves. It does. Nice. So then let's go ahead and keep doing some mana denial. Then let's just try to find another Maze of Ith for later. Land is fine. Junk Field of Ruin, Junk Ghost Quarter, Junk Tabernacle. Alright, we're done. We are done with the creatures. Fantastic. So I lose Drop of Honey. I can potentially become the beatdown. Sure. Just take natural draws here. Let's attempt to cast a Living Wish. Let's see what my opponent thinks about that. Yes. Flowing Mycospawn is okay. Lumra's okay. But I think we just do this. Just want to have multiple of those. Yeah. Why even start winning? Why even start winning? Come on, Moto. Cast another one of these. Put something scary in hand for later. Do Sowing Mycospawn. Discard 1 Saga. Draw. This is where I get colorless. Let's cast this with Kicker. Oops. Exile a land. I could have Ghost Quartered this turn as well. I miscounted. Get a new Ghost Quarter. Pass turn. Swords is fine. Ghost Quarter an island. I'm not really sure what my opponent does anymore. They might just be trying to run down my clock, which is reasonable. So I will Vexing Bauble. Ghost Quarter an island. Boseiju a Mystic Sanctuary. Life from the Loam. Ghost Quarter. Tranquil Thicket. 1, 2. That has happened. Let's cycle this. There we go. That's what I've been looking for this whole time. This is the thing that lets me just go wild. We'll play another Ghost Quarter. We'll Ghost Quarter a fetch land. And then I'll win the game over the course of like 2 turns with Urza's Saga. Ghost Quarter this last mana source. Life from the Loam, Ghost Quarter, Tranquil Thicket, Urza's Saga. Yeah. Cycle this. Draw a new card. Living Wish. Yes. Pick up Lumra. I'll just cast Lumra next turn and we can call it a game. So let's play an Urza's Saga. Play an Urza's Saga. Let's cast a Lumra. I'm just going to F6 here. And I'm just going to F6 through my opponent's turn. Yeah, okay. Alright, dead. I think it is tactically correct for my opponent to concede that game. I think it is harder for them to win the game than it is for me to win the game on low amounts of time. Okay, I board in all 4 copies of Urza's Saga here, playing against this deck. I think I board in my Tabernacle. I think I'm not super interested in Drop of Honey. I think I just use Maze of Ith to combat their small creatures. I wish kind of does these 2 things then. Maybe I leave one Urza Saga in board. Play the other Boseiju. Play Bojuka Bog. Play one drop of honey to clear creatures. Yeah, this is great. Vexing Bobble's very good. I'm going to get rid of the upkeep stop on my opponent's turn. So let's just Vexing Bobble on one. Yeah, that's why. And Cycle Lorien revealed. Alright. No immediate standstill or anything. Let's play an Exploration into Spell Pierce. Nice. Let's play a new Exploration. Then we'll drop 2 lands. If I were them, I would have Spell Pierced an Exploration. Lands, fantastic. That was a draw 3. So I have great defensive stuff already. Got Life from the Loam coming. Yeah, that's fine. So I think so that my opponent doesn't build up mana. Excuse me, sorry. So my opponent does not build up mana. I am fine doing this. Like, when I have multiple Life from the Loams, this is just perfectly fine. So we'll just make a couple of land drops here and call it a turn. Your Wasteland is fine, believe it or not. Your Teferi is also fine. I do not care about that card. That lets me Wasteland. Yes. With access to 2 explorations, I will certainly just dredge Life from the Loam without thinking about it very much. Wasteland that. Play new exploration. Life from the Loam with 3 targets. Yaw and yaw. Force of negation. That's fine. Land drop. Life from the Loam. 1, 2, 3 targets. Yaw and yaw. I will start Ghost Quartering my opponent. Beginning with white, white for Plain Cycle Eduder, I guess matters. Opponent is opting to keep blue. Fairy pluses. I just ride this Life from the Loam to victory. Targets 1, 2, and 3. Yaw and yaw. We start Ghost Quartering. And we're going to go through the basic lands slowly, but we will go through them. And then pass the turn. Yeah. I'm just going to F6 my... no, I don't want to F6 my opponent's turn. It doesn't really matter. It might if they stand still. They probably shouldn't. Surgical Life from the Loam. You got it. That slows me down, but I have plenty of other reasonable 2-drop threats. Sure, Teferi plus. I'll Wasteland that Underground Sea. Another Tabernacle's not great, but whatever. Cycle, yeah. Getting a Tundra. I'm going to stop narrating Teferi pluses. Assume that that happens. But it just doesn't do anything. Yeah. And we'll pass. Teferi bounces, sure. Alright, Moto, come on. New land drop. We'll just redrop Urza Saga, call it a turn. Opponent has a Wasteland for my Urza Saga, unfortunately. I'm fine knocking my opponent's mana down a peg. And we just keep continuing this game of draw go, which I think favors me. A surgical on Urza's Saga. Immediately when I draw Urza's Saga would be annoying. That is happening. I have one in the sideboard that I can wish for later. So it's not actually all that big of a deal. So let's just yield to that. Oh, opponent's not even going to bother to keep it around. Yeah, reasonable. I'm just going to yield to that. And we're just going to make land drops and pass. And then it'll be my turn again. Every Living Wish type card is just insane. My opponent needs to counter every one of them for the rest of the game. Okay. So I deck before my opponent right now. So at some point, I might want to consider conceding. Do I have other win conditions? I'm not sure that I do. Okay, so we are just in this loop of we are just going to pass turns back and forth and I'm going to deck first. I think I will concede then. Specifically because I deck first. I don't think I want to go full grifter, like remove every stop and just try to waste 30 seconds of my opponent's clock before resetting all my stops. Is this fine? This is fine. Thicket and pass. And we're going to do a lot of this sort of stuff here. I think this is just a land. We've gotten a response. The mulch type cards are a little awkward if surgical is a major part of my opponent's plan. Sure, that's fine. To the point that, like, maybe I try to be careful about casting mulches. Awkward. Alright, I mean, let's power through. Alright, there's a Force of Will. Let's grind. So this probably trades with this. I don't care if it trades with Urza Saga. I care if it gets surgicaled. That's really the only thing that matters. Sure. Alright. Living Wish is cool. I think we just do this first. Land. Nice. Let's just make a normal land drop for a turn or two. That's fine. I've got like Maze of Ith and Tabernacle to slow that down. That's not really a problem. Let's just play a Maze of Ith and pass. I think I'm just interested in making land drops for a little while. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Sure. So in the face of that card, I probably need to get the show on the road in terms of an actual win condition. Let's go Exploration, Living Wish. That's annoying, but it has occurred. Let's go 1 and 2. Cast Winding Way, select land, get a bunch of stuff, and go from there. Land drop, fetch, Mystic Sanctuary, or Lorien Revealed. That's fine. Then Brainstorm, and cast Lorien Revealed. Oh, that's fine. Life from the Loam. I guess I get an additional land drop. So let's go Wasteland, Wasteland Tundra, Life from the Loam, target these two. I think I get Urza's Saga going rather than Wasteland going immediately. And pass. Jace can do Jace stuff. Wasteland's fine in the face of Life from the Loam, as long as I don't get Surgicaled. Get Surgicaled on the Life from the Loam. That's fine. Obviously not good for me, but it is occurring. Snapcaster Surgical's really annoying. I lose Urza's Saga as well. So now it's Living Wish that is meaningful. So we can try to bully my opponent's lands here. See whether or not they keep Snapcaster Mage. They do not. They might just try to Jace Ultimate win me. But I think I probably stop playing lands. Just more turns with Jace afterwards. My opponent's spells don't matter anymore. Sure. And my opponent keeps Jacing. Sure. Vexing Bauble. I will take a redraw there. I will cast that. I just want to stay at 7 cards. Sure. Yeah, I think at this point, my next 2 cards both need to be good, which I don't think is super reasonable. I think we are just bad against Surgical, Snapcaster Surgical. I am going to concede here. I don't think I get through my opponent's clock. I could have tried to grief them harder in game 2, but I wanted to have the time in case I needed it. I have no green mana. Not interested in this one. This one probably works out fine. I probably just get rid of the Drop of Honey, which may or may not actually be good. So this is probably the starting sequence. Edge Maze. Potentially some sort of Nadu style deck. We would love to find a Tabernacle type card. Assuming I am correct. There's not a lot of Uro style decks around Legacy anymore. Pitching Lorien Revealed. Oh, it might be Beans. Yeah, this might be Bug Beans. In which case we are strapping in for another long game. I do not want all of these fucking... Yeah, I know, no targets. I don't want all these fucking Maze of Iths versus this deck. They might do something very late in the game if we start dealing with Murktide Regent type stuff. But it is very much not what I am looking for in the short term. Ponder. And then a basic. We are interested in just looking for more lands. Those ones don't tap for mana, which is slightly annoying. Again, I do not need the 4th Maze of Ith. I'll drop Tabernacle immediately. Helps more against some of the smaller stuff like Orcish Bowmasters that might end up happening. The normal cantrips are not all that scary. We can just kind of assume that Life from the Loam ends up doing some good work over time. Wasteland is great. Alright. Opponent does not like this. Very understandably so. So this is a tempo Force of Will. This just buys them another turn. I'll drop a Maze of Ith. So it's possible that my opponent could set up some sort of Force of Negation situation and exile this Life from the Loam. Otherwise, I'm in really good shape. There's a Murktide Regent, and this is where the pile of Maze of Iths are going to be very good. I'm just going to dredge this one so they don't know that I have it. So, 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2. This spell doesn't even matter right now. Yes. And this is where Maze of Ith is just the nuts. Now my opponent can't wasteland through this. So they need like maybe a second creature plus a wasteland or something like that. We are here for a long time. Not a good time. I mean, it's a good time for me, but for dragon enthusiasts, new land drop. Lands are not really what my opponent is probably looking for. Sure. Yeah, not even bothering. I will dredge. Life from the Loam. Target Wasteland, Yavimaya, and Forest. 1 and 2. Am I wastelanding here? Yeah, I think so. Seems fine. I think two Maze of Ith in play is safe enough that I am okay with this. Sure. We'll keep doing this thing. Field of Ruin, Urza Saga, Wasteland, 1 and 2. Nice. We'll just keep chipping away. I think next turn I'll be taking a natural draw. Just Field of Ruining a land. I would like looks at exploration style cards. I don't even need to Field of Ruin immediately. My opponent is going to have one of each basic for sure. I'll just do it later and give them a chance to accidentally draw it. So we'll Field of Ruin and Underground Sea. Alright, I have broken their spirit. So Drop of Honey is kind of a bad card until it's a very, very good card. It's like just answering a Marktide Regent for 1 mana is perfectly reasonable. Yeah, it's a slow answer though, to be fair. Let's go down 2 Drop of Honeys. Let's board in both copies of Urza's Saga. And then I have creatures to wish for, as well as some utility lands. This is fine. My hand has a reasonable assortment of cards. I am perfectly fine keeping this. What green land I lead on is kind of interesting, because Boseiju can answer beans, but I don't like super care about beans. Ooh, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, do it again. Then Wasteland. Wasteland Hedge Maze. Then start doing Urza Saga stuff very quickly. So, Saga, Maze of Ith. Tabernacle makes a mana and costs me a mana. I think I just hold that. The second Boseiju is not particularly good here. Hopefully that doesn't really matter. This is a Lorien Revealed to cycle. Sorry, to shuffle. And it's got Underground Sea. Aha, fool. I don't know that casting that Thoughtseize makes sense. Like, what am I going to have other than lands if I didn't play anything on 4 mana, you know? Do I play that? On the off chance that my opponent is playing some sort of weird destroy all enchantments type card. Sorry, it's late at night. I am forgetting the name of the green destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Give you some life card. Your beans are fine. I'll make a friend. Life from the Loam is very, very, very good. I'll make a friend. I'll get a Vexing Bauble. My Legend Ruling Boseiju here? I think so. Land drop 1. Keep this. Life from the Loam. 1, 2, 3. I can't be Force of Willed or Force of Negationed on this due to Vexing Bauble. I could be Spell Pierced. Nope. Wasteland. Target Underground Sea. Play Urza's Saga. I have already played enough lands. That's fine. Then in for 3. Unless my opponent has a really big haymaker, like narrow sideboard card, this one feels over. It's just hard for my opponent. Alright, we've got a Delta. Opponent said this was their first league back since Frog started up. You missed a time period, shall we say. Witherbloom Command. I mean, obviously, I will take a card draw here, which turns into a Life from the Loam Dredge. Decent land destruction options in there for me. Be taking a natural draw now. So we'll go land drop 1, Life from the Loam with 3 targets. Yeah, that needed to happen. That buys a turn. I will sorcery speed do this so these hit for 3. Chop in for 6. Is probably going through. So now opponent needs a sweeper, some sort of like Toxic Deluge style card, or a spree of murderous cut type things. Sure. I'm currently going to just go wide of this. 2 mana. Not 2 mana. Sure. So I am currently doing 1-2 activate Urza's Saga. Maybe 1-2 Boseiju up the Beanstalk. I might just take a natural draw this turn. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So bam and bam. Sheoldred's Edict, that's fine. Junk one of these. I'll get a Vexing Bauble. I'll play a new Maze of Ith. I'm thinking about when I want to junk up the Beanstalk. I think it's right now. I don't really think that my opponent can attack if they wasteland me. Yeah, Mystic Sanctuary does not meet all the requisite stuff. So we'll just pass, and then I have a theoretical lethal attack next turn. Refined Dredging. Saga. Ghost Quarter. Wasteland. 1 and 2. Nice. So land drop 1. Start going after mana. I guess the green one doesn't make sense because everything makes green. That was bad. That should have been an Underground Sea. Now let's go ahead and fire on in. I do not imagine that this is a lethal attack. I'm going to pass priority here because this kills my opponent. So they need to act first. 4 mana. Force of Vigor. That's not bad. So that happens. Now I will just go ahead and maze my construct token. It doesn't die to Murktide. Then drop Urza's Saga. Drop a Ghost Quarter. Take out that island. Turn it into a different land. Ooh, not turn it into a different land. Fantastic. As long as I have access to this Life from the Loam, I just have inevitability over my opponent. And Vexing Bauble is making it hard for them to counter my stuff. It's still also just very hard for them to win through triple Maze of Ith. That's an entirely different problem. There's another Murktide Regent. Sure. Again, I'll win eventually. I'm in no hurry. Wasteland, Ghost Quarter, Maze of Ith. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3. Wasteland and Underground Sea. Ghost Quarter and Underground Sea. I have the ability to Maze of Ith both of those while still continuing to make Urza Saga tokens. And then, in the not too distant future, I'll just play the Tabernacle to kill both Murktides. Yeah, opponent says, no bombs. GG's, we take that one down. Alright. All that's standing between me and bedtime is MC. Our opening hand is medium. We have a Vexing Bauble start, which can help against some of the random combo decks and the blue decks of the format. I have Life from the Loam with Field of Ruin, which is like slow land destruction, but it is guaranteed land destruction. More blue decks. More blue-white. I feel like we have seen a disproportionate amount of Tundra tonight. Let's just winding way here. Land. Only hit a forest. Unfortunate. Delta is less indicative of something like Nadu. So let's just go ahead and pass the turn and then Field of Ruin my opponent in their upkeep. Yeah, that's fine. I think I want to give them a chance to tap a Surveil land. Oh, I shut this off due to time constraints. Whatever, the land was going to replace itself. That's probably not important, but I did want to do that. It shuffles if my opponent is potentially trying to keep multiple good cards off the Brainstorm. Sure. Then this is going to give them a free shuffle. I'll pick up another forest. This is presumably a perfectly fine card. This is an unexciting single target Life from the Loam. Let's deny a Surveil land by playing Wasteland. My opponent could play this game just on a bunch of basics. Alright, come on, Moto. So, there's a basic. That's a nice basic at that. Dress Down. So we are playing against Stifle Knot, in which case Boseiju is fucking gas. I'm going to reset this before it bites me in the butt. Sure. That's wastelandable. My opponent might be null drifting, so I will Boseiju the Dress Down in response. They did not take the land there. I'm going to assume is a mistake. I'll dredge that. So Wasteland, Underground Sea, Life from the Loam. Boseiju, Ghost Quarter, Wasteland. Yeah, and yeah. Are we done? Yeah, we're done. So, do I want to board the Boseiju in, or do I want to be able to tutor for it? Because it's an answer to Phyrexian Dreadnought and Dress Down. I think I want to be able to tutor for it. I think I want to be able to tutor for these 3 cards. I think I'm going to swap Burgeoning for Urza Saga. Keep the Drop of Honeys. That seems reasonable. Yeah, this is fine. I was not really expecting Maze of Ith to be crushingly good versus these fair blue decks, but here we are. I think this is getting cycled. I don't think I need it to be a mana producer when I am probably just going to be casting Winding Way and finding more mana, but I think I want to have the option. They keep their card. Keep your secrets. Ooh, going for an immediate play. Sure. Drop of Honey is gonna do some serious work here. Consign to memory. Doing overtime duty. Cycle this land. Ooh, nice. So I will cast a Drop of Honey, which could be interacted with via a counterspell. We'll do it again next turn. Maze of Ith. Oops. So you send it in, I say no. You don't have interaction for the Maze of Ith, which is not great. I say, what if we Drop of Honey again? I think I want to play a mana producing land here to set up for the future. Now my opponent could produce a smaller creature, say a Doorkeeper Thrall or something to keep Phyrexian Dreadnought alive for a little while longer. You gotta try. Maybe I'll forget. This feels like a really tough matchup for my opponent. We're doing stuff though. Can I stifle a trigger or something? It is a Snapcaster Mage. You've got it. The opponent can target the Consign to Memory, so I want to not use triggered abilities this turn if possible. My opponent can then counter this trigger, keep Snapcaster. Exploration is very good, although maybe not immediately. We'll see if it becomes good immediately. Let's Winding Way. Use land. I'd like to find a land. Did not find any. So we'll Tabernacle and pass. So now the Tabernacle tax is real. Opponent's fighting the good fight over there. They are like really trying. Ooh, Pithing Needle on Maze of Ith is good. Yeah, that's real. I don't have a Boseiju right now. Yeah, I take 14 here. Sure. I take care of Snapcaster. So I have 2 Boseijus that I could dredge into, but then I can't do them. I think I'm taking a natural draw here. Mulch. So I don't have the mana to Living Wish and then do something. I think I'm losing this one. Yeah, I think when we cast that Winding Way and just bricked on all 5, that set me back enough that it's not recoverable. I can Ghost Quarter one of my own lands to get a green. That doesn't get me anywhere. Yeah, I die. I think for speed reasons, I want to naturally draw that. Board out 1 Living Wish. Get to these eventually. Oh, this is a perfectly fine hand. I'm okay keeping this, hoping to wasteland my opponent initially. Then pull ahead via Life from the Loam. So bam, and bam. Then we'll kind of see how I approach the next turn. I'd really prefer to wasteland my opponent. I don't think I play that. I think that's too important for answering Phyrexian Dreadnoughts. I think we set up for the future here. I'm going to make this spell pierceable. And then I think I just play this and this. Like, despite the fact that Tranquil Thicket is really good with Life from the Loam, I think I just need the mana source in play to set up better for the next turn. That's great. Leave Wasteland up, cast Mulch. Ooh, nice. 1, 2, 3. I wasn't supposed to leave up Wasteland. I think that was a mistake. Now I don't have green available. I'll live with that. Hopefully it doesn't matter. Sure. And another one? It matters if my opponent dress downs into Null Drifter specifically, which did not happen. My opponent just chose to deck thin. Oh, cool. So, play Saga. Play Wasteland as bonus land. Next turn I can do 1 to activate, have 2 mana available. I don't think I'm going to naked cast like Life from the Loam. I think I'm just going to let that chill. not telegraph that ahead of time. Sure. Or Urza's Saga. Okay. I mean, yeah. I think my Tabernacle doesn't make a lot of sense here. So there's the Thrall. We are fine against Dreadnought. Null Drifter is slightly more annoying. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've got an extra mana. I mean, I guess I'll float a mana, but sure. Unsure if targeting that exact Urza Saga immediately prior to doing the Ponder makes sense. Like, what if that mana is needed to Ponder again and then cast a Null Drifter, for example? Dreadnought's fine, I Bosage you that. Now, I think I am okay doing this at sorcery speed. Then we'll Bosage you the Dreadnought successfully. I'm just not gonna think about it and just do that. So now let's... Am I even making this? If I make this, I am not casting Life from the Loam. Yeah, I think I'm not making that. Yeah, so I think I'll just float mana. What are we doing? Okay, well, we're just activating the fetches so that I don't Pithing Needle them. That's reasonable. It is, however, going to make my turn very fucking good. I'm just getting Vexing Bauble. So, I Wasteland first. Wasteland the Black Source. Yeah, that's fine. Like, that kills an Urza Saga token, but it doesn't really matter. That is not what this game is about. So, Boseiju, Wasteland Saga? Land drop 1, Wasteland Tundra, then Exploration, then Saga, then Tabernacle. Keep Boseiju as a thing that I can do. Make this more awkward for my opponent. It's not currently getting in for damage. Yeah, that's kind of where I thought that was going. GG's. All right, Edison. I think this felt pretty smooth, honestly. I liked having the extra couple of 2-drops. I boarded out Burgeoning a lot. I still don't hate it conceptually as extra explorations. But when I want to make minor adjustments to my deck list, it is the worst card in the deck. I think the 2 Burgeonings could be 2 Mulches if you wanted to go that direction. I felt like we had reasonable game versus combo. The Null Rods, I think, are a good inclusion. I do like your suggestion to just have more copies of Urza Saga. Whether or not those should just be in the main deck included in the primary mana base, I'm not sure on. Does the deck still need Living Wish? Yeah, because then we wouldn't have Lumra if we took Living Wish out. In all seriousness, I think Living Wish giving me access to a wide variety of things is perfectly reasonable. You could probably play 2 more Mulches and some other selection spell like Ancient Stirrings and build a version of this that does not have Living Wish. And I think its performance would be about the same as you would get from this. But the ability to Living Wish for like Game 1 Collector Oof is a pretty big deal. I felt pretty good against blue decks. Maze of Ith was much better than I expected versus the blue decks. Maybe, I ran it previously. It's not in this build. I think it's Lair of the Hydra. Lair of the Hydra is another thing that you could pretty easily run in this deck. This deck wins eventually. It doesn't really matter how you win. It doesn't matter too much how many win conditions you have. You're pretty good at finding them via Life from the Loam. We randomly have a flaw versus Snapcaster Surgical Extraction, but that's not super common within the format, so I don't think that's a problem that needs to be addressed. And I guess it's only a problem if Vexing Bauble is not in play. So I guess it's kind of weird that that happened twice in meaningful ways. I guess my opponent did have like 1 Underground Sea. It could have been hardcast. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up. This was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And if you need some cards, you know where to go. Use promo code ThrabenU to let them know they should keep supporting my sweet content. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.